Welcome to Burn the Ship. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. I wanted to let you know that first, that I do appreciate you being here and spending the time with myself and the audience and bringing some value to us. It is very important to us. Thank you. Our goal at Burn the Ship is to connect entrepreneurs with professionals that can help you go all in on your business, right? We talk to people that have walked the walk, talked the talk, experienced all the things that we experience as small business owners so that we can bottle up some of those skills, bottle up some of those experiences, and teach them to you guys. Teach them to that next generation of entrepreneurs. Anything that we can do to disseminate that information about what it looks like to start and run a successful business is always what you're going to find at Burn the Ship. And you'll always find a guest that is willing to share some of their time to make that journey a little bit easier, which we're very appreciative for. So, thank you again, Matthew. It does mean a lot that you're here. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and your business?
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Bailey. So I'm Matthew Silverman. I live in Atlanta. I have a digital marketing consulting company. I like to pitch myself as not the agency and not the Fiverr or Upwork. Both are fantastic models for the right type of engagement, but I see a lot of companies need that middle ground where they need someone who's experienced but doesn't come with a huge team. And they need somebody who is local stateside and can be contacted. And I give my cell phone number out to clients and they can reach me and they can get in touch with me via email or Slack, whatever it is. So I think that's important. In terms of the things I do digital marketing, SEO, digital ads, social ads, growth marketing, email, all the word salad of the stuff in vogue, ABM, and lead generation, B2B, B2C, like whatever it is I can help and do. I've been doing it for, oh gosh, probably close to 20 years now. Started out back in 2004 when just after I graduated undergrad. It was in the wake of 2011 tragedy, and there were no jobs. If you needed a job, like you almost had to know somebody, and especially people fresh out of school with a bachelor's, it was still hard to get a job. So I moved to Atlanta, and one of my parents' friends actually ran Dr. Roof. So I became his marketing guy. I did Yellow Page ads and I updated their truck signage and updated their contracts, made them more professional, did some competitive intel on the other guys who were also selling roofing to figure out what is the secret sauce, how do we up our game. Did a lot of advertising in neighborhoods to get into the various different flyers and newsletters and stuff to let people know who we were and the value proposition of a local roofing company that's been around for a while is not going to go out of business and just not do warranty service and stuff like that. So that was a big deal. And then from there, um, I decided I want to get my law degree, which was a really dumb idea. Going to one of your other questions of what shouldn't I have done. I think in hindsight, after COVID, unless you really need a master's degree, I think any type of master's degree, just for the heck of getting it, is probably not a great idea. I spent a year in law school, hated it, then left that, went to do my MBA. I liked it, but I don't see the value add, the return on getting that degree. It was kind of like undergrad 1.5. Like
Sure,
it was great, it was a good refresh, but it's not something that I actively use in my day-to-day work.
sure. So, what do your customers look like now? Are they mostly in our area? Like, what types of companies are they? Are they mostly in that people that are coming to your house and fixing stuff realm, or is it kind of all over the place?
Definitely all over the place. I'm connected with a bunch of different digital marketplaces, for lack of a better term. So it's basically combines talent agency with an agency and a marketplace of people like me. So companies like Market Hire and Maple and EM Marketing, and there's a bunch of others, and also a bunch of Slack groups. And effectively, I get leads from that. So that definitely helps. And then over the past, say, 15 years, I've built up my network. I probably have close to 9,000 people on my LinkedIn network.
Oh,
So
wow.
that definitely helps. So being
Sure.
present on LinkedIn, showing your value, presenting what you know, sharing content, engaging with people is definitely another lead source of mine.
Sure. So, what advice are you giving people kind of first consultation? I know it kind of depends on where they are. Every solution is going to be a little bit of taking its own shape, even though there may be some things that are very consistent. But what is the thing that happens either in a business, or what is the thing that the entrepreneur is thinking that makes digital marketing come to mind?
I think a lot of companies are either looking to save money on their marketing or they're looking to increase the leads or just go down the path of just doing things for the first time or even just getting a second opinion. So, my first question to a lot of business owners or heads of departments or whoever it is I'm talking to is why? Like, what do you want to do? What's your goal? What are you looking to get done? Um, it's actually kind of scary to think like how many people have approached me saying, I want to do Google ads. And I'm like, why? Well, because I want to do Google ads. Like, but why? What's the goal? What are we doing? Um, and they don't always know. And it's a little bit weird because it almost seems like they're flying on an airplane. They read an article in the seat back of the airplane seat in one of the magazines there and like, you should do Google ads, but they don't understand like how it works, how it's going to affect the business, how much it even costs. Is it a good thing for them? I'm actually playing with the concept of rebranding myself as more the digital marketing fiduciary, being that like sounding board for people where if they want to think about, I want to do XYZ, well, is that appropriate for you? Does that work? Um, I know some industries like financial services, the cost per click on Google is just so high it might not be worth it. It might be better to start small, build small, and then grow from there, as opposed to trying to spend a ton of money and the likelihood of someone searching and converting on Google is not as high as it used to be.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely different. It's a much more competitive landscape now. It's like you said, the barrier to entry is, you could go right now and set up Google Ads for your business, and they might not be very good, and they may not be very effective, but you're a handful of clicks away. I mean, Google makes it very easy to throw some money behind your position on Google, right? And
Exactly.
how you do that is more important than doing it at all, I think. And so what as far as from the perspective of growing your business, like how long has your business existed? How long have you been in business for yourself? Was it after that 2004 period or?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, after 2004, actually, I went to New York, did grad school. I joined my first agency there was a startup, and then from there joined successive agencies and was in-house for a while, worked for a software company, was able to relocate down to Atlanta in 2010. Um, and I was actually working for a large Atlanta company. It started in June. We got laid off in December. There was like a huge mass layoff. And then I started the path of, well, how do I do my own thing? Because over the years, I've had that similar experience where you're part of a company or agency, everything's going great, and then something happens that's completely out of your control, and they lay off a bunch of people. It's never just one. It's, they say, oh, marketing or sales, we don't need you. Well, let's cut your team in half.
Yeah.
So then I started investigating what do I need to do to actually do my own thing. I've done 1099 before. It's not so much fun. Just paying your own taxes and just figuring that out
Hmm.
is not always so easy. So somehow got targeted by a ad on Facebook about a company called Collective. Um, and they basically outsource everything that most marketing people or any professional doesn't want to do, like all your bookkeeping and taxes and setting up all the behind the scenes stuff. And then literally it's done for you type of service. So once I was able to get enough clients to justify that, I incorporated and did all that stuff. And I've been doing that ever since 2020. So
Sure.
it's just on 4 years now.
So what's kind of been your superpower, right? From getting your business started, I mean, you had a little bit of background in the industry working with some larger companies, I'm assuming. What do you think has kind of been that key trait to helping you grow your business or skill possibly?
I think it's a combination of being able to tell the story of I've done all this with all these different companies. Actually built a deck and I didn't realize it's so big. It's probably like almost 20 slides about the success stories I've done with all these different companies like Apple Computer and IHG. And um, I worked for a watch company selling watches. We actually, there was a funny if there was a promotion that Bing had a couple years ago. They were trying to get eyeballs, talking about eyeballs. And we shut it down because we were so successful. We got, I think we made like $4 or $6 million, something, whatever. in the course of like under a week selling watches. But a lot of that came from paid search. Um, and then the other side is building my network. I think the combined effect of those two makes it really powerful because anybody I connect with, I can tell them the stories. I can show them what I've done. I can describe how I take this story for watches and translate it into leads for whatever it is, like your business, financial services and stuff. Well, how do we do that? How would we get more people? I know I was listening to your podcast from yesterday, and you're saying like it used to be you would have to make a sale every day. Now it's you need a sale like a week, a month, whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is. But then finding those people is the same way that I would find people from years ago. It's still the targeting, it's still the ad creative, and also the keywords and other things, and fine tuning the messaging on the website to make sure that when you've got that full package, everything's running correctly and it's doing the best that it can.
Yeah, for sure. And your network's not just local, right? Like
Correct.
you're connecting with people via Slack and via LinkedIn all over the country. People inside your industry, people outside of your industry. Um, I would emphasize that to people as well. When you're thinking about building your network, it's not all about being out of your house as much as humanly possible, right? Like if you live in Atlanta, especially, there is something that you can go do to network every morning and every single night, right? But that is going to create a lot of local connections for you, and the national connections are very valuable, especially for B2B companies. And being able to connect with people in your industry and find holes for the solutions that they're providing and try to reinforce or bring some value to that as well is very very valuable and an effective way to grow your network for sure. My company does that as well. We do some things that some people in the credit card processing world either can't do or don't want to do, completely based out of necessity over time, right? Not that we necessarily love a lot of those things either, um, but finding ways to be valuable to other people in your industries and sharing your expertise and your experience in a way that is giving, is a wonderful way to build some social rapport and build some network with people in your industry, outside of your industry, locally, nationally, whatever that may be. Is just having that giving mentality. What would you think? Like what would you say to some of the obstacles that you've overcome? Right, like what's been difficult for you in navigating that? Because it seems like you understand your skill, you understand your trade and the way to render your service. You don't have a problem going and meeting the people and creating the connections there, even though the top of the funnel and building your network doesn't always correlate with conversion. Sometimes you may be in an industry where you have to talk to hundreds and hundreds of people in order to find a client that really fits um, your specific outline of what your client is. But what would you say has been some of the obstacles that you've overcome that have made starting your business more difficult?
Um, I think one of the biggest obstacle is the shiny object syndrome type of thing, where you're mentioning, for example, great examples like networking. In Atlanta, I know of probably daily networking groups. There's BNI groups, there's Chamber of Commerce groups, there are religious networking groups, there are groups dedicated to different verticals and types of people. And if you search and go to like Georgia World Congress Center or some of the other bigger um, trade show facilities, there's something happening at least every week, if not sometimes multiple times a week. And I think the challenge there is how do you filter down into who do you need to get in front of, who do you need to spend time with? Even on, for example, LinkedIn, I get invites all the time. I probably have like 40 something pending, and not all of them make sense. I get a bunch of international ones, and sometimes it doesn't necessarily make sense to connect with people because you're not going to ever do any business with them. They're not going to meet you. You're not going to be able to connect or do anything. It's just because you can connect to someone doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
And even when you're out networking, you need to figure out, is that the right meeting for you? Is that the right event for you? It might not be right. Uh, it's hard. I've definitely made a couple mistakes with those where, I mean, like right now, I think one of the challenges I have is I have too much networking going on, and I go through these waves of trying to figure out how do I scale to the point where it's comfortable and I'm doing the right amount. I think this is one of the big insight lessons that I tell clients is it doesn't matter what you do, if it's networking or social media content or blog posting or marketing or whatever it is, you have to figure out where your comfort zone is, what you can do comfortably daily or weekly, whatever that time period is, and just do it. The biggest issue that I've encountered with clients, even myself, is if you say, okay, I'm going to post on LinkedIn every day, and they do that for, say, a month, and then they get burned out, and then they'll never do it again. Whereas if you said to them, okay, post on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m., set a 1 hour time block, 30 minutes to 45 minutes to write, 15 minutes to post, just do it, they'll actually do it as opposed to saying, I need to do it every day. And the same thing goes in networking. I think I logged into Slack last week. I didn't realize how many Slack groups I'm part of. I think there's probably like 36 Slack groups, which is
Wow.
insane. Right. Um, and I used to be very active in all of them. When I had a small collection, it was one page, but now it's like multiple pages. And it's hard. It's definitely harder to be active in all those different Slack groups because there's a lot going on there, and also being active in LinkedIn. So I think that's the big thing is trying to figure out how do you filter that networking? How do you filter that connection basis? Oh, and the other tip, making sure that the person you're connecting to is actually real. That's a big
Oh yeah.
problem nowadays. About the only way you can determine that someone's real is meeting them in person and make sure they've got a heartbeat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's 100% true. Um and my industry experiences some of that as well. People want to find ways to skate the necessity to be a real person. Um
Right.
and underwriting in our industry does a good job of filtering a lot of that out. But if there is not that safety net for your industry, be very particular about um, the people that you engage and how you engage in business with them online, because it's a different world that you live in now. Let me ask you this: This is something that I've seen recursively from some of the people in our industry, right? Um, and in our industry, I mean the B2B world, right? People that are working with other business owners in general. Um, what I've seen is that early on in some businesses that are, consultative in nature or sales related in nature, people have difficulty being the person. You're kind of the person that they hire to get feedback from, right? Like that's always going to be a position of yours when you're working with businesses, is that you have to be able to give feedback. You have to be able to give feedback with conviction, and it has to be constructive for you to really carry your weight in the conversations that you're having with people in other industries, right? Has that always something been something that you found to be natural, was the ability to, you know, give a business owner the feedback that they're looking for with no BS, or is that learned behavior from you? Because a lot of times people being new in their business, or just being new to really wearing that CEO or whatever they may call themselves hat, become hesitant to give really good advice to people that want the really good advice. So I'm curious as to, is that something that was always natural for you, or is it something that you had to learn as well?
That's a great question. I don't think it's natural. I definitely think I've had to learn it. I think the part that has been challenging, and I'm still learning every day with every different engagement, is how to know when somebody is looking for advice or someone's looking for affirmation for their thoughts.
Right.
And I think that's definitely different. I've worked with um, two local companies where the executive team um, didn't want advice. They said they hired me for advice. They hired me to be the change agent to turn leads around, to generate more leads, to lower the cost per lead, which are all the buzzwords that all the businesses want. But they didn't want that. In hindsight, they wanted a yes man to do what they said, even though that they didn't know what they were saying was actually counterintuitive to what would work properly. Um, so that's been hard. Like trying to teach somebody what you're asking me to do is spend your money on Google, and me as a marketing person with experience, I think it's probably about a 50% chance it's actually going to work. And telling them that and having them really internalize and understand that, that's challenging. Um, it's like telling kids, no, you can't have the ice cream because
Hmm.
you have to have your dinner first. That's really hard. They don't want to hear that. Um, but it's you learn every day.
Yeah,
It's a constant evolution.
yeah, for sure. And it's something that you have to learn
Yeah,
because your relationships are better with people when you make that step in the relationship. You know what I mean? When
right.
you shoot people, people respect your um transparency. You know what I mean? And that begins to build a relationship of trust and rapport with people that it's hard to replicate otherwise. Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, my friend. Tell people if they want to buy something from you or they have questions for you or whatever that looks like, how do they find you?
So look me up on LinkedIn. So I'm a digital marketing person. That's kind of weird. I don't have a website yet. I actually have it on draft mode. But I've got so much spam and scam and people reaching out to me.
For sure.
And it's actually quite funny some of the outreach that I just haven't pushed it live yet. So a lot of my networking's on LinkedIn. If you just search for Silverman Consulting LLC or Matthew Silverman, I'm in Atlanta. I'm there. I think there's about 30 of us. Matthew Silverman's in America, but I'm one of the few that's not a doctor or lawyer. Or you can just email me at mlsilverman@gmail.com.
Sure. Um, and then the way that we always kind of close the show here, right, is kind of an ode to our name, right? It's burn the ship. What does it feel like to burn the ship? What does it feel like to go all in on your business, right? To making that commitment to solving the problems that entrepreneurship brings, right? And you as someone that was already in your industry and had to make that decision to make that transition to being your own business owner and being your only employee at that time and trying to find out how to navigate those conversations with clients and render your service, like what is that transition like? What does it feel like emotionally, and why should the people that are kicking the can down the road experience that same thing?
It's um it's a big discussion. I mean, this is like a 2 hour answer. I think the simple answer would be to burn the ship would literally be it's almost say pretend you're in a ship in the ocean and suddenly the ship sinks and now you have to figure out how to swim. And there's no one's coming to rescue you per se, and you have to figure it out yourself. And you can read all about it and connect with people and stuff, and you just have to kind of figure it out. I guess I've been both fortunate taking my learned experience from undergrad, business school, and MBA school, and then taking my work experience, and then drinking my own Kool-Aid and building systems that seem to work. Um, for me, actually burning the ship and getting set up as an entrepreneur meant that I needed to have all the backend systems taken care of because that was a distraction, didn't want to do it, and that's not my forte. I can do my taxes, I've done my taxes, but who wants to do taxes and bookkeeping? Like it's easier to just outsource it. So that was the first big rock that I did. Being organized, reaching out to people, connecting with different groups of people that are looking to hire fractional people, was the next big rock that I'm still trying to encounter. Building a lead system, I'm still working on that. Connecting with people, I think that's a big thing. I think nowadays, if someone were to say, you know what, I want to just go out on my own and do my own thing, it's easier now than it was 4 years ago because a lot more systems are set up as done for you. You just pay a subscription fee and you can do it yourself.
Oh yeah.
Um, like for example, payment processing. There's so many more providers nowadays than there was 4 or 5 years ago, and it's easier. Um, there's a lot of other systems like email and lead generation and funnels and all that stuff. There is a plethora of AI-based systems that, depending what you're looking for, work great.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's a learning curve as well. My industry's had to kind of keep up with that. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
everyone, and your industry probably has too. It's like you have to have a solution that people can implement and it be easy on them, and it not feel like flipping the world upside down, full of change. It has to be something that is smooth sailing, right? Like that customer experience is everything, and that's really what we've been focusing on lately on the podcast is really emphasizing customer experience over that turn and burn experience, right? Like you said it best early on in the podcast where one of the first things that you do is ask people why. Why this? Why that? Why is this? Where did you get that information? Why is this what's in your mind? It's a great question because the question is not geared to make you create an answer. The question is just there so that you have to be honest with yourself about whether you have an answer or not, right? And I think if I had to tell people the same thing, it's like if you have a really good answer, if that answer, that question of why is answered naturally and with conviction to you, burn the ship, right? Give
Right.
yourself a
Yeah.
chance, give
Yeah.
yourself a try because you'll be surprised what you're capable of.
Exactly.
And if that question is not easily answered by you of why, then you should go back to the drawing board and prepare to be a business owner. I'm not telling you you're not capable of it. I'm just telling you that maybe your thought isn't necessarily formulated enough for you to burn the ship, for you to commit to making the journey of entrepreneurship. It's a difficult one. It's not easier.
Right.
Everyone would do it, and even when you start and you make that leap, it's not easy to get those systems and processes in place where you know for a fact you're going to run a business successfully. So, again, I appreciate you being an asset to myself. I appreciate you being an asset to the people that are listening. I hope some people reach out to you and ask you some questions because I know you have a wealth of a network out there that you can connect people to. And if you need anything from us, feel free to reach out as well. We'll edit this over the course of a week or so. If you want the full file, if you want the clips, if you want to use any of this for your own marketing purposes, you're more than welcome. We're wide open as far as sharing and repurposing our content. We love that. But if there's anything else that I can do for you, please let me know, my friend. I really do appreciate you coming.
Amazing. Thanks so much. Yeah, and this is fun.
Cool.
Best of luck with all the stuff you guys are doing because it's a big deal. I've had some crazy horror stories with in terms of financial services side of the business and marketing gets affected.
Yeah.
And people don't realize like how bad it can get.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a it's a fine line, you know what I mean? Like, but between efficiency and a problem, you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, but thank you. That's all I got. Burn the ship.